This week on Motorhead Garage, Brian and John get an exclusive look at the manufacturing process of Borla's carbon fiber. Later on, we're protecting our engine as well as smoothing out a three-wheeler. Next on Motorhead Garage, presented by Dustless Blasting.
Welcome to Motorhead Garage, presented by Dustless Blasting. We are joined in the shop by this awesome C7 Corvette. It's a gorgeous car. It's a grand sport. Has a great looking body stuff on it. The one thing it's lacking, though, is under the hood. Now, you know Borla because they make million-mile warranted exhaust, but now they're also making carbon fiber parts, and that's what we're going to be doing with this C7 Corvette. I'm joined by Marion from Borla, and Marion, very impressive stuff. You showed us around the operation, and you guys take a lot of pride in the construction of these pieces.
Well, we take pride in everything that we do in this place, you know, starting with our exhaust systems. Now we decided to go into carbon fiber parts. They are pretty parts, but the materials are up to highest quality you can get.
You took us for a tour of the manufacturing area here at Borla, where they actually create these parts, and it's a very precise process and it's a very labor-intensive process.
Yes, unfortunately, you know, with those parts, and they are very labor-intensive. You know, there is no other way to do it to make pretty part. They are methods that we can make those parts a lot faster, a lot less expensive. They would not look that pretty.
Not all carbon fiber parts are created equal, are they? Sometimes you buy a carbon fiber part and you're actually not getting carbon fiber.
Yes, that's correct. We try and we found some parts that actually mix. What we use, the highest quality material available on the market. We don't mix anything. This is pure carbon fiber, and that's what we decided to go with. We are known for our quality, both on workmanship and a material from our exhaust side, and we decided to stick with it, you know, on the carbon fiber side.
We saw your QC area. There are boxes over there where you're taking pieces out and actually test fitting them on simulated engines and or, you know, the other body pieces of the car. So talk a little bit about that, because that's going the extra mile.
We not only create the models, the patterns, okay, and we verify on the models that parts that we actually manufacture will fit the car or the application or whatever we else do it. Every part that we manufacture is also checked in the fixtures, assembly fixtures, and you know, we have fixtures that are created based on the profile of the engines, both Corvettes and Camaros and trucks, and we verify the parts will fit.
Well, I think it's a testament to the dedication you have to the program. You're actually supplying some OEs with some of these parts now, and that means that the customer that is in their own driveway installing these parts on their Corvette are getting OE quality pieces that you spent the time and made the investment to build properly.
Well, we try, and you're absolutely correct. We have some of the parts you can purchase through your local GM dealerships for your truck or SUV, and yes, we are proud of it.
Well, you've done an exceptional job. John Gardner is with that awesome C7 Corvette we showed you a minute ago. He's going to show you just how well the engine program fits.
Well, thanks, Brian. The Corvette is gorgeous, but the engine not so much. We're going to fix that up with the Borla carbon fiber parts. The job couldn't be any easier. It's just a matter of popping the factory side covers off. They come right off. Once you got the side covers off, there was a couple of 10 millimeters going down in the upper plenum cover. They just bolt right down here like this. I've got a pass-through socket. I got all 4 of those off, and I actually used a little trim tool right here. A little trim tool actually got the clips up and got them out of the way for me. Once I did that, unplugged the sensor, then I'm ready to pull the upper plenum cover here. It's just a little beautification cover. Not too beautiful though, but what we're replacing with is actually the carbon fiber piece right here, and this is really nice. It actually gives you the access hole for the sensor. So I'm just going to tuck this down in here. Be careful, be gentle with it. Put it down in there. Once it sits down in there, just like that, fits perfect. We can go ahead and put the 10 millimeters on. Now you can see the fitment and how good it works and the meticulous factory process that went into it. From rolling the carbon fiber out to cutting the carbon fiber. Then we took the carbon fiber over to the actual table and form fitted it to the mold there. And then we actually vacuum packed it. After we vacuum packed it, took it over to the autoclave. The autoclave put the pressure on it along with vacuum and got it looking really good. Pulled it out, got the trim, got it all trimmed up, looking real good. You can see the actual clear coat finish here and how good it looks, and actually the form, fit, and function is just incredible with this right here. It's sitting. Now what I'll do is I'll just go back and I'll tighten everything up and I'll put the sensors back on and put my factory clips back in place. After I do that, all I need to do is put these nice side covers on, and I'll lay them there so you can just see the huge difference that it made. I mean, this is going to be phenomenal. You can see the difference here, the covers, and the difference they're going to make with the engine configuration. I mean, it changes the whole look of the engine. It looks good. Now, the beauty of this, the guy doing the work gets to drive it. So Brian's going to be in the passenger seat for this test drive. Stick around. There's more Motorhead Garage right after this break.
Motorhead Garage, presented by Dustless Blasting, is being brought to you by Clamp Tight, the clamp making tool. AP Laser, leading the way. RockAuto Concept, automotive restyling specialists. And by Dustless Blasting, it's the future of surface preparation.
Welcome back to Motorhead Garage, presented by Dustless Blasting. Let's go back to 1936. An innovative Indy racer named Joe Lenke developed a micro lubricant that guys like George Bignotti and some of the greatest mechanics in American racing history relied on to keep engines like the mighty Offenhauser successful during the race. Well, that legacy lives on today through Zmax. I'm here with Lenny from Zmax, and man, Joe was a smart guy back at 36.
Joe was a smart guy, and now that innovation can be purchased right on the shelf at auto parts, Walmarts, and so many other locations. And Zmax is made for any piston engine.
And yeah, it's amazing the variety of products we have here, everything from aviation to even firearms. Please, take me through it.
Well, let's start out with probably the easiest to apply, the fuel formula. All you do, go to your local parts house, wherever you can pick Zmax up, and grab that right off the shelf as it is, pour it into your fuel system. And what that does is, we all know about carbon and how carbon is not good for anything. It is especially not good for the internal workings of your fuel system. This will be able to clean that carbon out and make your fuel system run the way the manufacturer designed it.
No sticking fuel injectors, everything's going to be flowing free.
Any of it is all going to be cleaned with Zmax product.
Firearms, man.
Firearms is a whole other thing. When you're an expert marksman or a casual shooter, you want to make sure that your barrel is working correctly. You're going after that center of the target. You don't need something inside of that barrel starting to adjust the trajectory of the bullet. Zmax in the barrel will clean it and make sure that it is performing at its best.
Awesome. Now we move on to the actual engine treatment, correct?
Now the engine treatment is something else. Not only will it clean inside of the inner workings of the engine, but it'll also bond to the metal. It soaks into the metal. And let me show you this by this demonstration that we have here. 190 degrees of temperature, soaking into the metal, and that's the real long-term benefit for you. You put so much into the money into your engine, why not have a bond that protects it?
And 190 degrees is a great number too, because if you're driving down the road, anybody at home, you're driving down the road, look at your thermostat or look at your temperature gauge at some point when you're cruising on the highway, you're going to be right in that window.
Right in that window, and as you hit that number, that just begins to draw in Zmax. Next, you have the AV blend. You certainly want, if you're a casual flyer, you have a plane, you're participating there, this is the only microlubricant that the FAA approves. Zmax microlubricant in the pistons of aircrafts does what it does to the car, but at 10,000, 20,000 feet up.
And that's been nearly 40 years. The approval came there in 1980, so proven commodity again.
Absolutely. Certainly one for the aviation industry to take note of. And then you've got the transmission formula here. You get a different type of chemical reaction sometimes within your transmission. You want to make sure that all of it is still clean, and Zmax product does that. It makes sure that your transmission is clean and ready to go when you need to shift through the gears.
Now, if I don't need to go hunting for everything on the shelf right here, you guys package it up for me.
Not only hunting, you want to save a little bit of money. You combine these two and you'll be able to put it in your fuel system and in your engine, and it'll save you a few dollars to get you down that road much further.
Small engines, man, we all have them, whether we're talking about a lawnmower, a chainsaw, any of that stuff. You need to maintain these things, especially today, or they're just going to make you frustrated.
Well, you got the honey-do list, and she wants, you know, the lawn cut, she wants the yard edge, you want to be able to blow off the debris. All of those engines run actually very, very hot. Zmax will not only clean out the carbon, bond to the metal and protect the metal, but it'll also make all of those parts run smoother, more efficiently, and cooler, so that as you're taking care of that honey-do list, you're just that much better off. And down the line here, one more product for more of the expert do-it-yourselfer. You can buy these and be able to save more money, and just you have to manage yourself how you make sure that the right ounces are put in whichever application you want.
A giant breadth of product here, a great demonstration to show exactly how the micro lubricant gets into the metallic components of your engine. We're going to be back with more Motorhead Garage after this. Thanks, Lenny. I'm going to use probably all this stuff.
My pleasure, Brian. You'll love it.
Motorhead Garage, presented by Dustless Blasting, coming to you from Borla Commerce Park.
Welcome back to Motorhead Garage, presented by Dustless Blasting. So my co-host on Motorhead Garage, John Gardner, doesn't fly commercial, so he has no idea the frustration of going to book an airline ticket that's $100 one week and then $300 the next week. RockAuto.com saves you from all that frustration because their pricing is reliably low. They're not going to change the prices, make it fluctuate week to week. Isn't that right, Tom?
That's absolutely right. Yeah, it's easy on the internet now to have software that goes around and finds different prices. Hey, we'll raise our price because their price is this and that, and we don't do that. We base our prices on what the parts cost us, and that's it. So if you look for a part today, it'll likely be the same price this weekend. It won't be 50% more, 50% less.
And I put you to the test. I had you look up one of the great speed parts Detroit ever made, the big Rochester 4-barrel on top of a 427 69 Camaro, and for $287, I'm going to have this thing at my house.
Well, that's with the core. If you ship back the core, it's $218.
$218.
Right.
And it's going to be $218 next week and $218 2 weeks after that. So if I'm planning out a project and I'm budgeting, I'm going to know what I need to save.
Yeah, and if it goes up or down, that's what the supplier charged us. So we passed on that price. There's no shenanigans of adjusting the prices. What can we get today out of the market?
It's one of the reasons so many people love you, no matter what they're driving or no matter what they're repairing or restoring. People love the consistency RockAuto provides and the service you provide as well.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, RockAuto.com, reliable pricing and the hugest parts inventory in the known universe.
Now, one of the first things I do when I'm buying an old car or even a late model car, I check underneath for rust. Mechanical issues, no problem. Rust, I'm out. Well, no worries anymore. We have with us Joe. Joe from New Hampshire Oil Undercoating. Tell us about the rust and what's going on and your company.
Rust is like a cancer. It's a big problem in the Northeast. It is a problem that is evasive, and salt is the biggest contributing factor.
Which is getting under there and rusting the whole chassis out.
We started our business in a garage out in a dirt road, 1.5 miles in any direction.
And tell us a little about your product.
So the product is pretty low technology. It's a very simple concept. We, unlike the conventional undercoating, don't trap the moisture and the oxygen in there. Oil will displace the moisture, and it will draw it away from the base metal. It'll cut off the oxygen. Take either of those out of the equation and you stop oxidation. We also put in a green corrosion inhibitor so we can fight it on a chemical level. 90% of how this works is the physical presence of the product on the surface, and eliminating oxygen stops the process. And as long as you have product on, you kind of hold the rust at bay.
Well, how can you apply it?
We can apply it several ways. We sell do-it-yourself kits. We sell equipment that's airless, air-assisted, quick disconnect carbide tip. We have a basic kit. You can get into it for about $65, and you can apply the product yourself.
Now, your son Joey, he's going to apply it for us over there, but he's just going to use this gun. He's going to use the actual product itself in black.
He's going to use back to black. It is the same as our clear. The clear and the black, same as that product. The black is for cosmetic purposes. It has a biodegradable carbide tint to it.
And that's great. Just hook up air and shoot it. Let's take a look at Joey. He's in action doing it right now.
It's a pretty easy process. The surface should be clean and dry. You just want to put a consistent, even coat on the whole underneath of the vehicle, staying away from the exhaust and any other parts that get really hot. 2 or 3 passes will get a nice, even, consistent coat on the rust. It's a pretty easy process. You can do it in a garage or your driveway, or if you have ramps to put your truck up on, that all works. We have 2 different types of oil. We have clear and we have black. Black is strictly for cosmetic purposes. There's no difference between them besides the cosmetic aspect. You would use clear normally on newer vehicles to have no pre-existing rust, and you would use black on something that has rust already present on the underneath of the vehicle. The black will make the underneath of the truck look like a new vehicle.
Well, Joey made short work of that. You know, and I'm sure glad that he used a mask and safety glasses as well.
He did. It's a good idea anytime you breathe something in other than oxygen. But our product is a mineral oil base. It's a non-hazardous, environmentally friendly, no drip product.
Now, Joey proved to us that a do-it-yourselfer can do it. What about, I don't want to mess with this stuff, can I take it to a professional and get it done?
Yes, currently we have close to 100 dealers that offer the service and our product. They come into our facility, we train them, we sell them the product, the equipment, ongoing training. It's a great way for a mechanic not just to be reactive but proactive.
Absolutely. Now, he also had it right there on the floor. What about like under a car? There's a lot of nooks and crannies and frames. I mean, do you have some products we could get into those
We do,
areas?
and this is typically what you'd find a dealer offering. This is a high-pressure air-assisted airless system. Fits in a 55-gallon drum. These are all quick disconnect carbide tip, so you could go from a 6-inch fan direct spray to a flexible 360-degree wand, all high pressure. Or you can get into this. Once you use this, you'll never go back to a cup gun. That's a carbide tip 45-degree wand.
That's going to lay it on there.
Yep.
And you also have these little things you can get into the frame as well.
Yeah, we actually make our own tools. So this is brake line. You can see brazed at the end, bent. Right. And that is, we use that to get on the back side of a dump truck.
Well, awesome, awesome. Well, folks, there's $3 billion annually in rust repairs. So, Joe, I'm going to go ahead and take some of this stuff and go coat mine. You take a short break. We'll be back with more Motorhead Garage right after this break.
Motorhead Garage, presented by Dustless Blasting, is being brought to you by Chinwy Hitch, towing made easy. Axalta Coating Systems, we paint winners. NH Oil Undercoating, the official oil-based rust prevention system. And by Dustless Blasting, it's the future of surface preparation.
Welcome back to Motorhead Garage, presented by Dustless Blasting. Millions of Americans love to hit the highways and byways of the country and go on road trips on motorcycles just like this Harley Electra Glide Classic. It's a great bike, it chews up the miles, but it is pretty heavy. So there are riders with special needs, and maybe riders that get a little older, that they want more stability and they want more comfortable ride when they get out there on the highway on a bike like this. It's a gorgeous cruiser. Well, the folks at Trike have developed a system that allows you to enjoy your motorcycle and do it in a more satisfying way. Don from Trike, tell me what I'm looking at. You guys have the patent on this thing, literally.
Well, yes, we do on the air ride, Brian. This is the basic kit Trike has, and for those that can't afford more expensive bikes, this is $27.95, and it gives them all that they need to be able to ride. The fenders, the wheels, tires, everything comes with it.
The system is ingenious. You have these nice rod ends that are going to allow for nice freedom of movement, great box steel tubing, the welding quality is very high. But the suspension is where it's at. Tell me about the suspension.
Yes, sir. We had been through several different suspensions, and the torsion axles, we'd get the lightest weight ones we could, and they just weren't satisfying us. So that's when my husband came up with the air ride suspension. When that wheel hits a bump, that rocker arm takes it to the airbag. And so it really makes for a softer ride on a motorcycle Trike.
The quality continues on the fenders, which people are looking at it going, oh, those are fiberglass fenders. They're not. You guys go the extra mile there.
Yes, they are ABS, and actually you won't find these fenders anywhere else because my husband designed and sculpted the actual mold that they use to vacuum form the fenders. So his hand is on every inch of the Trike.
I'm looking at the back of the chassis here, and I'm seeing this upright. What am I looking at?
Okay, that's how we tie into the basic cruisers. That is tied into the back of this angle iron, which is 3/8 inch thick, and it comes up. This is actually done vertical to the floor, and that ties into your fender strut bolts. The higher you tie in, the more stable the bike is.
So this system, very modular, very adaptable for a bunch of different bikes because you're going to mount those where you need them to fit your particular application. It can be added and removed in minutes, I'm guessing, by the looks of it.
Yes, about 5 minutes. You'll have a bolt at the foot of that one and the foot of this one. You just remove those two bolts, and there is a nut at the bottom of that tie rod end. Just remove those 2 nuts, kick it down, and roll it off.
I'd like to give people a little bit better demonstration of the suspension, which we have a kind of a blown up version to look at.
Okay, sure.
So Don, as we walk over here and take a look at the suspension, I guess the first thing that strikes me is if you have one of these deals with a torsion axle on it, it is what it is. You're never going to be able to change it. But with this airbag, it's adjustable infinitely, right?
Yes, it is, Brian. And as you can see here with this rocker arm, this is your wheel attached to the spindle. And so when that wheel is hitting those bouncing around, this airbag is going to give. And that's what's going to take the rough ride out and make for a much smoother ride.
And speaking of adjustment, you know, all these motorcycles weigh differently, even the riders weigh differently, so there are some recommendations as to where you want your pressure, right?
Right. The bag will hold up to 100 pounds, but we put anywhere from 10 to 20 according to the weight of the bike and the passengers, whether there's just 1 or 2 passengers.
Now, I'm not the smartest guy in the world, but when I look at this, I see something that could replace a torsion axle on a trailer or really anywhere else it's found.
That's right. We have it available to sell for any kind of configuration that uses a torsion axle, half torsion axle.
And this is another example. We saw this mounted to the rear of the Trip Trike unit over there, but again, this is our rear mounting area, and you can see this. This is where the real kind of genius is, right? Because we're bringing that center of gravity or that up high.
Right. And this is set up vertical. We usually cut about 5 inches from the ground here for the good ground clearance on our kit.
So Don, along with innovative suspension, innovative steering now coming from Trip Trike. Tell me about it.
Yes, we have our patent applied for the power steering on the trikes. It not only Trip Trike, but it will work on other trikes as well that it'll fit on. Actually has a switch that when you push the handlebar, it turns the switch on in the motors, and the harder the turn, the better it pulls. And so for people like me who's had shoulder replacements and all, I have trouble steering, so that's going to be a big help for a lot of people with bad shoulders.
Another innovation from Trip Trike, and we have innovations all the time showing up here at Motorhead Garage. If you've got something cool or innovative you'd like to see on the show, contact Jeff at masterstv.com, and maybe you'll find yourself here with me or maybe with Don here at Motorhead Garage. We'll see you next week.